I think I'll leave the wargame mission there. I think it's very obvious that the Rangers have won. I don't think there's any way that the Guards can get enough victory points to win the mission. At the beginning of the next battle round, the Rangers would get 200 for all of their members in the circle, and the Guards would gain 100. So I don't think there's any way the Guards can catch up. Gideon is negative hit points, so we'll say that he goes unconscious and is saved by the Rangers. So that brings our little one shot to an end. But before we finish and say our goodbyes to Gideon, we're going to go over the end of session, end of arc character breakdown. So I think the first thing we're going to talk about is the experience points that Gideon has gained from this one shot. I think the first thing we're going to start with is the vices and virtues. So the vices and virtues, you gain 10 points for effective roleplay over the sessional arc. And if your character has changed their perspective on the vices or virtues, they gain 20 points. So Gideon's vice is sacrifice. Do we think that Gideon has effectively roleplayed this aspect of himself? Or do we think he's grown? Or do we think he's played into it? I think that maybe a little bit. With his whole feelings of wanting to take on all of the pain and this torture because he feels like he deserves it. That I think maybe for Gideon that it's a little bit more like self-harming than him actually sacrificing anything for himself. So I don't think he's really sacrificed himself in any way, but at the same time I do feel that maybe his perspective of that has changed through his experience. That now his sacrifice for his pathology to put others in front of himself in a macro scale has changed. I think maybe he's a little bit more apathetic to what happens to him because of the torture, that now he just accepts horrible things are done to him. Or maybe he's wrathful. He's angry about what happened to him. Maybe zealotous. He sees these people abusing their power, and with the people in his home void space also abusing their power, he feels like he is well justified in the violent actions that he takes towards these types of people. And maybe this is why. And maybe this is why on the last turn of the combat, when he's set free, the first thing he does is attack one of the people and just goes straight for them. I think maybe this one fits Gideon the best. Or maybe like stubbornness or zealotry. Stubbornness also works because Gideon didn't give up the whole time. I'm not too sure which one of the two I think suits him more, stubbornness or zealotry. I don't think he was stubborn through his torture. He didn't get through it by being stubborn. He got through it by detaching and kind of vowing revenge in a way. I think zealotry fits him more. So that's what we're going to go with. He's going to change his perspective, which means he gets 20 points for that change of perspective in his personality. Then now we have to talk about his virtue. So his virtue at the beginning of the one shot was justice. Do we think he's roleplayed this effectively? We said that him attacking at the end is him kind of playing that justice out. And this still fits with him taking the justice into his own hands. He's still played into that at the very end. Do we think that he's changed his perspective though? Maybe. I think his virtue is still justice. Justice was the thing that got him through the torture. I don't think we'll change that, but I do think he's roleplayed that effectively. So we'll give him 10 points there. Next is the 14 questions. So for Gideon's first question, it was, what are your character's goals to make a new life for himself? I don't think he's really accomplished that goal, and I don't think he's really made any headway towards that. Maybe he has an idea now of what kinds of things he wants to do. He's seen another group of people that are abusing their power, And maybe that's what really got him here, especially with the torture. It's that he wants to stop. People like this. He's just had more evidence of the kind of abuse that people that have power have done. So I don't think he's role played that effectively, but I don't think he's role played that at all. Making a new life for himself. I don't think he's changed perspective on it either. But I think what he has changed is maybe before he just wanted to break off from life, find somewhere they can just be human. But now I think he has more of a noble goal. We'll leave that one there, and we won't get any points for that one. Question 2. Before the one shot, it was, what was the most morally good thing your character has done? Which was save bystanders from a gang of punks. I think even though he necessarily didn't roleplay this out, but I think he kind of has. Because of when he came into the void space, these military guys picked him up. I think those military guys, as we've established, they were looking for the guy with the cracked mask, which is the guy who saved him at the end. I think maybe Gideon accidentally got in the way when he came into the void space and they were chasing after Shadow or something. So even though Gideon didn't actively make this choice, I still think that he roleplayed it. Not only did he roleplay into this, but I think he saved them from being killed, because that's what they were going to do to Gideon, and they weren't even looking for him. So what were they willing... So if they were willing to kill Gideon, what were they going to do to this other guy? So I think maybe he finds out later, after being saved and talking with the Rangers, that those guys were going to kill them. So I think we'll give him points for saving the Rangers from being caught and killed. I think obviously that saving random bystanders from a gang and straight up saving people from being murdered is enough to change his perspective, so he'll get 10 points. Question 3 is one thing your character will never stand for, and before the one shot for Gideon, that was never allowing innocent bystanders to get hurt. Now, he didn't play into this, and I don't necessarily think that the Rangers are innocent either. They are murderers, but maybe they're killing for a good reason, or at least what they think is a good reason, at least. I don't think Gideon knows and didn't really play into it either. I still think he won't stand for allowing innocent bystanders to get hurt, so we won't change that. Question 4. What is one thing that your character would never do? Now, before the one shot for Gideon, it was, I will never put my family in harm's way. Obviously, none of these people that Gideon interacted throughout this one shot were his family. So I think that's no change as well. None of his family were in the story, and he didn't sell out his family in any way. Maybe we could say one thing Gideon would never do now is torture someone. But I think no change here would be better. We can save that for a different story another time, leaving it open. Alright, question 5 is one thing your character 100% believes in. Before the one shot, it was Gideon 100% believes in justice, even if he has to bring it himself. Now, I think he has roleplayed that effectively, especially towards the end. I didn't think he's really changed his perspective on it. I think he's even more solidified in him. He is the one that needs to bring justice. He's the one that needs to bring justice to these types of people that abuse their authority. So I don't think that's changed. He's very much played into it though, so the effective roleplay gets him 5 points.